Your silence and discipline are more powerful than reacting emotionally, and most people don't even realize how much strength it takes to move like that. See, anybody can explode. Anybody can shout, scream, break down, send paragraphs, expose their feelings the moment they're hurt. That's easy. That's instinct. That's what the world expects from you. But silence is different. Silence is a statement. Silence is a strategy. Silence is control. When somebody disrespects you, betrays you, or pushes you into a corner emotionally, your reaction is the first thing they're waiting on. They want to see your anger because it tells them they still have access to you. They want to see your tears because it tells them they still have power over your heart. They want to see you fall apart because it confirms that their actions hit you exactly where they aim. But the moment you don't give them that reaction, the moment you stay center focused, unshaken, they start to feel something they didn't plan for: accountability. Silence forces people to sit with their own behavior. It makes them replay every moment, every word, every choice they made without you giving them the comfort of knowing what's going on in your mind. When you don't respond emotionally or force them to deal with themselves emotionally, that's the real shift. That's the real pressure. And the people who try to break you start breaking themselves. Discipline is the backbone of that silence. It's not just staying quiet. It's choosing not to let someone else control how you move. It's waking up every day deciding that your peace is not up for negotiation. It's reminding yourself that emotional reactions might feel good for a moment, but they cost too much in the long run. Discipline is keeping your energy clean when someone tries to drag you into chaos. It's choosing your future over your feelings. It's choosing your worth over your wounds. You don't grow through reaction, you grow through restraint. You grow when you stay still long enough to understand what really happened, what you really want, and what really matters. You grow when you start proving your point to people who would rather misunderstand you than face themselves. Discipline gives you that clarity. It makes you see the bigger picture, not just the moment, not just the pain, but the path forward. Silence also makes your moves louder. When you stop talking and start progressing, people notice. They feel it. They get confused. They wonder how you're still standing, still building, still glowing after everything they did to shake you. That confusion, that's your power, not because you're hiding something, but because you're elevating for real. When you're disciplined, your life becomes your message. Your success becomes your voice. Your growth becomes your response. There's another thing about silence. It protects your dignity. When you lash out, when you act from hurt, you give away pieces of yourself. You show your cards. You show your triggers. But when you stay calm, when you stay aligned, when you refuse to let someone pull you into a version of yourself you no longer want to be, you keep your dignity intact. You walk away with your head high, not because you didn't care, but because you care more about yourself than the situation. People don't forget silence. They don't forget the day you stop arguing. They don't forget the moment you stop chasing. They don't forget when you start focusing on yourself instead of them. They don't forget when you chose peace. Silence echoes longer than words ever could. And discipline keeps that silence from turning into bitterness. It turns it into growth instead. When you choose silence and discipline, you're not ignoring the situation. You're rising above it. You're saying, I'm not going to let this break me. I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to lose myself trying to prove something you should have already known. That's strength. That's real confidence. That's emotional maturity. And that's how you take back control of your story. So remember this. Reacting is easy. Anyone can do it. But silence, discipline, that takes a different level of self-respect, a different level of wisdom, a different level of power. And when you start moving like that, nothing and no one can pull you out of your character. You become someone people can't shake, can't read, can't break. Your silence and discipline aren't just responses, they're protection, they're elevation. They're the reason you'll always rise above what was meant to tear you down. Confusion comes from unpredictability, and that's what most people fear the most. Inside your anger, not your tears, not your reaction. They fear not knowing what you're about to do next. Because when someone can predict you, they feel safe. They feel in control. They feel like they got you figured out, like they can play you, like they can move however they want because they already know how you'll respond. But the moment you step out of the version of yourself they're used to, everything changes. Unpredictability isn't about playing games. It's not about acting cold one day and warm the next. It's not about mind tricks. It's about evolving in a direction they never prepared for. It's about growing past the place they tried to keep you in. It's about no longer reacting the way you used to, no longer speaking the way you used to, no longer giving them access to the parts of you they once controlled. People expect you to be emotional, to be loud, to chase, to explain, to soften yourself just to keep the peace. They expect the same patterns, same routines, the same conversations, the same weaknesses, the same pain points. They expect familiarity because they rely on it. It makes them comfortable. It makes them confident. It makes them feel like no matter what they do, they can predict how you'll handle it. But when you become unpredictable, the comfort disappears and confusion enters. See, confusion isn't created when you do something shocking. Confusion is created when you stop doing what they train themselves to expect, when you stop running to fix things, when you stop reacting to their silence, when you stop offering explanations, when you stop seeking clarity, when you stop carrying conversations on your back, when you stop letting your emotions lead you into old patterns. That shift, it makes people nervous because now they don't know where they stand with you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know if you're done. They don't know if you changed. They don't know if they lost you. They don't know if they still have the access they used to. And that uncertainty eats at them more than any argument ever could. Unpredictability is powerful because it forces people to look inward. When you react the same way every time, they never have to reflect. They never have to question themselves. They never have to face the consequences of their behavior. They just rely on your predictability, your softness, your forgiveness. But when you shift your energy, you shift the entire dynamic. You make them confront themselves. You make them deal with the impact of their actions without you softening the blow. You make them feel the discomfort they tried to hand to you. That's when they start replaying everything. That's when they start noticing how they moved. That's when they start questioning why you're so calm, why you're so distant, why you're so focused, why you're not reacting. Unpredictability isn't about pretending. It's about elevating to a level where the old version of you simply doesn't exist anymore. You're not confusing them on purpose. You're becoming someone their old strategies can't reach, someone their old manipulation can't move, someone their old habits can't shake. You become unreadable. Not because you're hiding, but because you're healing, because you're growing, because you're outgrowing the patterns that once felt normal. The real confusion comes the day they realize they can't predict your emotions anymore. They can't trigger you. They can't pull you into drama. They can't control the narrative. They can't guilt you into staying. They can't use your openness against you. That's the moment they start paying attention. That's the moment they start changing their tone. That's the moment they start asking questions they never asked before. Because unpredictability is the first sign that their access to you is slipping. And that scares them more than anything. Confusion comes from unpredictability, but unpredictability comes from evolution. When you start valuing yourself more, you move different. When you stop needing validation, you speak different. When you stop reacting emotionally, you carry yourself different. And people feel that shift, even if you never explain it. You don't confuse them because you're being difficult. You confuse them because you're becoming powerful. And once you reach that level, nobody can read you, nobody can control you, and nobody can play you the way they used to. Your unpredictability becomes your protection and your power. Don't chase clarity from someone who benefits from your uncertainty, because the moment you start running after answers, you hand them the power to decide how you feel, how you think, and how you move. Some people don't give you clarity, not because they're confused, not because they're busy, not because they don't know what they want, but because keeping you unsure keeps you in place. It keeps you emotional. It keeps you waiting. It keeps you trying. And as long as you're trying to figure them out, you won't figure yourself out. Uncertainty is a tool. People use it when they don't want to commit, but don't want to lose you. They use it when they enjoy the benefits of your presence, but don't want the responsibilities that come with honesty. They use it when they know you care more than they do. And instead of giving you the truth, they give you just enough attention, just enough affection, just enough reassurance to keep you hopeful, but never enough to give you peace. They leave your mind open-ended, your heart half comforted, your spirit half fed. They want you thinking, guessing, analyzing, doubting yourself, replaying conversations, questioning your worth. Because as long as you're in that state, you're predictable, emotional, attached. You'll keep doing the heavy lifting while they sit back and enjoy the advantage your confusion gives them. That's why chasing clarity from someone like that is a losing game. You're looking for truth in a place built on avoidance. You're asking for honesty from someone who profits off your questions. You're searching for direction from someone who's perfectly fine watching you walk in circles. If a person really cared about protecting your heart, they wouldn't let you lose sleep over what they feel. They wouldn't let you guess. They wouldn't let you wonder. They wouldn't let you question where you stand. Someone who wants you will make sure you know exactly where you fit in their life. They don't leave room for doubt. They don't leave gaps for fear. They don't let you drown in assumptions. But someone who benefits from your uncertainty. They use confusion as a shield. They'll hide behind mixed signals. They'll use silence when truth is needed. They'll talk in circles whenever you ask for something real. They'll make you feel needy for wanting clarity, dramatic for wanting answers, emotional for wanting respect. And the crazy part, you start blaming yourself. You start thinking, maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe you're being insecure. Maybe you need to be more patient, more understanding, more calm. But the problem isn't you, it's the situation. You're trying to get clean water from a poisoned well. The moment you stop chasing clarity, everything shifts because uncertainty only has power when you're looking for certainty in the wrong person. When you pull back, when you stop asking, when you stop explaining, when you stop needing their words to feel steady, you break the cycle they were benefiting from. People show who they are real quick when you stop seeking their reassurance. The ones who value you will step up. They'll bring answers. They'll bring honesty. They'll bring transparency. The ones who are using your confusion to their advantage will fall back, disappear, or get frustrated that they can't control your emotions anymore. The truth is, clarity doesn't come from others. It comes from you. It comes from paying attention to patterns, not promises. It comes from watching what they do, not what they say. It comes from understanding that someone who truly wants you won't let you feel unsure about them. You don't need to chase clarity. You need to choose it. Choose it by stepping away from people who can't communicate. Choose it by refusing to settle for confusion. Choose it by valuing your emotional peace more than temporary connection. Choose it by realizing that silence and consistency, mixed signals, those are all answers on their own. When someone benefits from your uncertainty, they'll never give you the clarity you're begging for. But the moment you stop begging, you take your power back. You stop being controlled by hope. You stop being manipulated by fear. You stop being trapped in emotional loops. Clarity is freedom. Uncertainty is bondage. Stop chasing what someone refuses to give. Walk away and let your peace speak louder than their confusion ever did. Shift the energy. When you choose self-respect over reaction, you take control. And that's the level of power most people never tap into because they're too busy proving a point instead of protecting their peace. See, anybody can react. Anybody can snap back, argue, clap back, expose their emotions the second someone crosses the line. That's the easy route. That's the impulsive route. That's the route that gives the other person free access to your energy. But choosing self-respect, holding your ground, moving with intention instead of emotion, that's a different lane. That's ownership. That's discipline. That's real strength. People will test you, push you, provoke you, not because they're strong, but because they're used to you responding. They expect you to defend yourself, explain yourself, justify yourself. They want that reaction because your reaction feeds their ego, feeds their control, feeds their ability to keep you emotionally tied to them. But the moment you start reacting, the moment you choose self-respect instead of letting anger drive you, the whole dynamic flips. You take the wheel, you set the tone, you decide what energy you're giving and what energy you're done entertaining. Self-respect starts with understanding your value. When you know who you are, you stop letting people drag you into situations that don't match your worth. You stop letting their words get under your skin. You stop letting their behavior dictate your mood. You stop chasing closure from people who can't even give you honesty. You stop arguing with people who don't listen. You stop fighting for people who wouldn't fight for you. You stop reacting, not because you don't care, but because you finally care about yourself more. When you choose self-respect, you start responding with silence instead of anger. You start walking away instead of trying to fix someone who isn't trying with you. You start distancing yourself from anything that disturbs your peace, and people feel that shift instantly. They feel the difference between someone who's desperate for validation and someone who's standing in their power. That shift makes people uncomfortable, especially the ones who are used to controlling your emotions. Because once you start reacting, they lose access. They lose the ability to push your buttons. They lose the advantage they had when they knew exactly what to say or do to get under your skin. They lose you as a predictable emotional outlet. And that's the moment you take control. Control isn't about dominating someone else. Control is about keeping yourself steady no matter how someone else moves. It's about refusing to let anybody trick you into leaving your character. It's about staying calm when chaos comes to your doorstep. It's about choosing your peace, even when your pride wants to fight. It's about knowing the difference between what deserves your energy and what deserves your absence. When you shift the energy, you stop playing a game. You stop responding to disrespect with reaction. You stop feeding manipulation with attention. You stop giving excuses to people who already showed you who they are. You stop letting emotional triggers define your actions. Instead, you move with clarity, not emotion, with intention, not impulse, with purpose, not pain. And that shift changes everything. It changes how people treat you, how they approach you, how they talk to you. It changes the kind of relationships you allow into your life. It changes your standards. It changes your boundaries. It changes the image you hold of yourself. When you move with self-respect, your energy becomes rarer, cleaner, harder to access. Your presence becomes something people have to earn, not something you give away cheap. Most importantly, it changes how you feel about yourself. You start trusting yourself more. You start protecting yourself more. You start walking stronger because you're no longer reacting to every little thing meant to shake you. You realize that peace is worth more than winning an argument. Growth is worth more than proving a point. Silence is worth more than shouting your truth to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Choosing self-respect over reaction is you stepping into your power. It's you saying, I won't let this situation break me. I won't let this person control me. I won't let my emotions lead me out of my own character. That's real control. That's real strength. That's real evolution. And once you start moving like that, nobody can pull you back into the old version of yourself because you've outgrown that level and your energy shows it. The real revenge is evolution because nothing hits harder than you becoming the person they thought you'd never be without them. See, revenge in the way most people imagine it is small. It's emotional, it's temporary, it's loud. Anybody can scream, post, expose, clap back, or try to get even. But that kind of revenge doesn't change anything. It doesn't heal anything. It doesn't elevate you. It just shows you're still tied to the same energy that hurt you. Body evolution, that's different. Evolution is silent, it's steady, it's undeniable. It's the kind of revenge that doesn't require a single word, a single explanation, a single announcement. You just move different, you grow different, you think different, and people feel that difference even if you never look back. When someone hurts you, they expect one of two things. They expect you to fall apart, or they expect you to chase them. Both of those keep you stuck at the level they left you on. But evolution is choosing neither. Evolution is rising so far above the situation that the old version of you, the one who cried, begged, explained, lowered themselves, accepted less, doesn't even exist anymore. That version dies the moment you decide, I'm not living like that again. The people who wronged you, doubted you, underestimated you, or broke you, they don't fear your anger. They fear your elevation because anger fades. But elevation, that lasts. Anger says you still care about what they did. Elevation says you learn from it. Anger keeps you connected to the situation. Elevation breaks the connection completely. Evolution is you taking your pain and turning it into purpose. It's you taking your disappointment and turning it into discipline. It's you taking your heartbreak and turning it into hunger. It's you transforming, leveling up, stepping into a version of yourself that no one can take credit for but you. That transformation becomes a mirror they have to look into. Not because you're rubbing it in their face, but because your growth exposes everything they failed to see in you. They see you glowing. They see you focused. They see you building. They see you winning in ways you weren't winning when they had access to you. And that's what hits them. Not your words, not your anger, not your payback, your evolution. Because now they have to sit with the truth. They didn't break you. They built the version of you that doesn't need them anymore. Evolution is the revenge where you don't have to prove anything. Life does the proving for you. Your progress becomes your response. Your peace becomes your comeback. Your success becomes your message. You become a walking reminder of what happens when someone tries to play you and you choose to grow instead of crumble. The real revenge is waking up one day and realizing you're too far ahead to even be bothered by what happened. You're too healed to be triggered. You're too focused to be distracted. You're too elevated to be pulled back into old stories. You're living in a new chapter, and the people who hurt you are stuck rereading the page where they lost you. Evolution also teaches you something important. You never needed revenge in the first place. You just needed clarity. You needed distance. You needed perspective. You needed growth. Once you achieve that, the situation that used to control you becomes a fuel that pushes you into your next level. And you'll look back one day, not with anger, but with gratitude. Because without that hurt, you wouldn't have risen the way you did. That's why evolution is the real revenge. It doesn't just change how they see you, it changes how you see yourself. It gives you confidence that no apology, no closure, no explanation could have ever given. It makes you proud of the person you became, not because of them, but in spite of them. And once you evolve like that, there's no going back. You become untouchable, unshakable, unrecognizable to the version of you they once knew. That's the kind of revenge no one can deny and no one can stop.